The mountains of Afghanistan in the 1980s were a theater of absolute conviction. In the freezing heights of the Hindu Kush, the Mujahedin fought a relentless war against the Soviet Union, driven by a belief system that prioritized martyrdom over surrender. These fighters were not just local rebels. They were the central pillar of a massive American geopolitical strategy. Washington viewed these holy warriors as the front line against communism, providing them with billions of dollars, advanced Stinger missiles, and the unwavering praise of the Western world. To the American public of that era, these men were the heroes of the Cold War, standing ready to die for a cause that happened to align with the interests of the United States. This alliance in Afghanistan was part of a broader, often forgotten history, where America was deeply entwined with Islamic powers. In the decades leading up to 1979, the United States viewed Iran as its most stable and sophisticated partner in the Middle East. Under the Shah, Iran was a secularizing, Western-leaning regional powerhouse. American families lived in Tehran, American jets flew in the Iranian Air Force, and the two nations shared a vision of a modernized, anti-Soviet Persian Gulf. Even after the Iranian Revolution fractured that specific bond, American diplomacy continued to seek unlikely partners in the Arab world. In 1980, the city of Detroit extended an extraordinary gesture of friendship to Saddam Hussein. Following a massive financial donation to a local Chaldean Catholic church, Saddam was awarded the key to the city. At that moment, the Iraqi leader was seen as a vital, secular counterweight to the new religious fervor in Iran. The American government and its major cities were willing to overlook domestic brutality in exchange for a strategic bulwark against a shared enemy. The turning point in this relationship was not a clash of civilizations, but a vacuum of commitment. When the Soviet Union finally withdrew from Afghanistan in 1989, the United States abruptly ended its support. The Mujahedin, who had sacrificed an entire generation to defeat a superpower on America's behalf, found themselves in a shattered country with no aid and no allies. This feeling of being used and then discarded created a profound sense of betrayal. The consequences of this abandonment manifested in two waves of violence against the very heart of American commerce. In 1993, the first attack on the World Trade Center was masterminded by Ramzi Youssef, a Pakistani national who had been immersed in the militant networks born from the Afghan-Soviet conflict. Youssef was eventually captured in Islamabad and convicted to spend the rest of his life in a maximum security prison. The second, more devastating attack in 2001 was orchestrated by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the principal architect of the September 11 attacks. His motivations were rooted in the same radicalized networks that felt abandoned by the West. By 2026, after decades of legal maneuvering and revoked plea deals, the masterminds of that day remain in the custody of the United States at Guantanamo Bay, serving as a permanent reminder of the blowback from the Cold War. The resulting atmosphere in America is often called Islamophobia, yet the reality on the ground suggests a more specific ethnic target. The hostility generated by these conflicts has largely settled on the Arab identity rather than the Islamic faith itself. In the United States, it is virtually impossible to identify a person as Muslim by sight alone. Muslims of Asian or African descent, who represent the vast majority of the global Islamic population, frequently navigate American society without facing the same immediate suspicion or visual litmus test applied to those from the Middle East. The prejudice is triggered by a specific aesthetic, the sheikh look, the turban, and the Middle Eastern features. This is why the Sikh community has been so tragically impacted. Though they are not Muslim, their appearance fits the narrow American stereotype of the adversary. The friction is not with the Quran, but with a specific geographic and ethnic archetype associated with the violence of the late 20th century. As of 2026, under the second Trump administration, the relationship has entered a new phase of transactional realism. Middle Eastern leaders have found a renewed partnership with Washington because the current administration has discarded the moral litmus tests of its predecessors. There is no longer a demand for Western-style democratic reforms as a prerequisite for friendship. Instead, the relationship is built on economic deals, technological cooperation, and regional stability. This approach acknowledges a fundamental truth about the region. Many societies there are built on a bedrock of belief for which they are prepared to die. Trying to democratize or change these cultures through pressure has historically failed. The current American strategy focuses on being a reliable business partner and a formidable military deterrent, recognizing that to engage with the Middle East, one must be prepared for a battle of convictions that does not end when the fighting stops. The history of America's relationship with the Islamic world is a story of shifting alliances and forgotten promises. It suggests that the current tension is not an inevitable religious war, but a lingering scar from a century of geopolitical maneuvering, where friends became enemies only after they felt they had been left behind.
Put your legs inside.
I don't deserve to be here, dude. Please, for the love of God. Bismillah, min ash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, rabbil alamin, ar-rahmanir-rahim. Maliki yawmiddin.